Let's talk about Newcastle now. When can Newcastle fans expect to see Vaktang Salia up front for the squad? Obviously, a big young signing that they made from Georgia.
Yeah, an exciting signing, I think, for Newcastle Salia, but they're not going to see him for a while yet. He's going to return to Dinamo Tbilisi on loan for the remainder of the Georgian season before joining Newcastle next summer when he turns 18. So that's the earliest that Newcastle fans might get a glimpse of Salia maybe in pre-season, but he's very much one for the future. I don't think he's anybody who's going to come straight into Eddie Howe's first team plan straight away. But exciting young talent, a Georgian under 21 international. I think he's got 5 goals in 24 appearances for Tbilisi this season as well, but he will need time to adapt to his new surroundings. Moving to England, moving to the Premier League is such a huge step up for any player, never mind a youngster. So I don't think there'll be any pressure on his shoulders too early, and Newcastle will just want him to bed in when he arrives next summer, and then potentially they might loan him out to another club just so he can continue his development with regular first team football, which he isn't going to get in Eddie Howe's side in the foreseeable future.
And we obviously know that there has been a lot of rumors that Isak and a new contract are kind of stalling. Is this a sign that Isak's future isn't at Newcastle?
No, I wouldn't read anything into that with this signing. It's just Newcastle trying to sign some of the best young talent in Europe to try and improve the team going forward in years to come. They did beat a number of clubs to sign Salia, so it won't have anything. And Isak's still a key man in that Newcastle side. Obviously, contract talks have stalled, and both parties have decided to sort of put things on the back burner so Isak can concentrate on his form and his fitness, and then I'm sure talks will probably reopen maybe closer to the end of the season to see if a resolution can be found and everything else. And Newcastle, no real panic from them. He's still got 3 years to run on his contract as well, and they are quite confident that they can keep Alexander Isak long term.
Brian Mbuemo is a player that we've talked about a lot with all the biggest clubs in the Premier League. The rumors that he could actually make the move to Newcastle in January, does this seem possible, or does it depend on maybe Callum Wilson going somewhere else during that period, potentially going to Brentford the opposite way to kind of replace Mbuemo?
Yeah, I'm sure Brian Mbuemo is a player who's on Newcastle's wanted list, no doubts about that. He's had a great start to the season with Brentford, and he would go in and fill that problematic right wing position for Newcastle if they were to try and sign him. I don't see a move happening in January for me. I don't think Brentford will be too willing to sell him, and probably his price tag of around £50 million is going to be too rich for anybody to sign him in January. Even if Newcastle were to sell somebody, I don't think they would be able to splash out that money, because I think there might be restrictions upon Newcastle on what they could spend in the January transfer window as well. It's probably one to more look at the summer. I think Brentford would be more open to maybe offers for the Cameroon international in the summer. He will have just 1 year left to run on his contract at the GTEC Stadium, and we know Brentford, they won't stand in a player's way if a good offer comes in from him as well. So Newcastle are one of a number of clubs looking at him. Mbuemo, Arsenal, Liverpool also admirers of the versatile forward as well. So I think there'll be a lot of clubs chasing his signature in the summer if nothing happens in the January transfer window, which I don't imagine it will.
And Newcastle are sitting 12th right now, haven't quite made the start to the season they would have hoped. Obviously, we know about the backroom issues between Eddie Howe and some of the boardroom. How soon until he's on the hot seat and this becomes a potentially dire situation for Eddie Howe at Newcastle?
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to panic for Newcastle yet. Obviously, it's been a below par start. There's no getting away from that. I don't think Newcastle envisages themselves to be 12th in the table, having taken just 12 points from their opening 9 Premier League games. Obviously, it was a big win in the Carabao Cup against Chelsea in midweek. That's sort of eased any growing pressure on Eddie Howe, and they've got a nice quarter-final tie at home to Brentford, so they could be in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup come December. I mean, obviously then we know what Newcastle fans want. They want success, they want a trophy. It's been so long without a trophy, so if Eddie Howe could do that, he would go down as a hero on Tyneside as well. But yeah, I don't think there's any growing pressure on Eddie Howe right now at Newcastle. He's done such a great job there. He's probably exceeded expectations when he got them into the Champions League way in advance of what the club's owners expected, and he still has a lot of credit in the bank. So yeah, I think Eddie Howe has all the backing that he needs at Newcastle to remain as manager.